A chilling encounter at Grandma's house. While my grandma went to Florida with some of her church friends for the weekend, I stayed at her house, sleeping in the guest bedroom next to hers. This room always had 2 twin beds, which my brother and I used during sleepovers. I took the bed by the window, and before settling in, I made sure all the doors were locked. Although it was early, I didn't fall asleep immediately. With not much to do at my grandma's house, I spent about an hour on my phone, watching videos and texting friends. That's when I heard a woman's voice outside, saying hello. My heart skipped a beat. I cautiously approached the front door, trying to pinpoint the sound. The voice continued, repeating hello every 10 seconds. Since my grandma's door doesn't have a peephole, I used the dining room windows to get a clear view of the front porch. I tried to discreetly peek through the blinds, but the woman on the stoop saw me. She was looking right at me with a creepy smile and said hello again. The woman appeared to be in her late 50s or early 60s and had a face that sent chills down my spine. It seemed odd for one of my grandma's friends to visit at midnight, especially without knocking or ringing the bell. Disturbed, I returned to the guest bedroom and closed the door. With the door shut, I could no longer hear her. I texted my sisters and friends, describing the bizarre encounter. They advised me to call my grandma, but I knew she wouldn't be awake and she rarely checked her phone. Just as I was beginning to calm down, a loud banging at the window startled me. The same voice said hello again. Fueled by adrenaline, I yanked the blinds up, coming face to face with the unsettling woman, separated only by a thin pane of glass. I screamed at her, "I'm calling the cops." Then I let the blinds fall back and fled to the upstairs guest bedroom, deciding against actually calling the police. I hid under the covers, and a couple of hours later, finally mustered the courage to check the windows. The woman was gone. The next morning, I told my grandma what had happened. She panicked and told me that a few days earlier, a woman about 10 years younger had been following her around the grocery store, smiling at her for no reason. Though I initially dismissed a connection between the 2 incidents, my grandma's distressed reaction made me reconsider. At 75, her memory isn't as sharp, so I take her stories with some skepticism. However, her fear was palpable and made me wonder if it could have been the same person. As the day went on, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. I went through my usual routine, but every little noise made me jump. I double-checked all the locks multiple times. I even considered leaving the house, but the thought of encountering that woman again kept me inside. I spent most of the day in the living room, where I could keep an eye on all the entrances. That night, I tried to sleep but couldn't shake the image of her face from my mind. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my phone clutched tightly in my hand. Every creak and groan of the old house made my heart race. I texted my friends again, just for some reassurance. They tried to calm me down, but their words did little to ease my anxiety. Around midnight, I heard a noise coming from the backyard. I froze, straining to listen. There it was again, a rustling sound, followed by a soft thud. My mind raced with possibilities, each one more terrifying than the last. I debated whether to investigate or hide. Gathering all my courage, I crept to the window and peeked through the blinds. I saw nothing but darkness. Suddenly, a shadow moved. I squinted, trying to make out what it was. It was then that I saw her again, standing by the tool shed, her face illuminated by the faint moonlight. She was staring right at me. I gasped and stumbled back, my heart pounding in my chest. She made no move to come closer, just stood there, watching. Panicking, I called 911 again. The operator recognized my voice and assured me that help was on the way. I stayed on the line, my eyes never leaving the spot where she stood. But when the police arrived, she was gone. They searched the property and found no trace of her. They advised me to stay inside and keep all doors and windows locked. The next morning, I spoke to my grandma again. She was visibly shaken and insisted on cutting her trip short to come home. I didn't tell her about seeing the woman again, not wanting to worry her further. But the fear lingered, making every day feel like a nightmare. My friends tried to support me, but they couldn't understand the terror I felt. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, the fear began to fade. But every time I passed by the window or the tool shed, I couldn't help but feel a chill. The memory of that woman's smile haunted me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that she was still out there, watching, waiting. Even now, months later, the memory of that night still sends shivers down my spine. I still wonder who she was and what she wanted. And most of all, I wonder if she will ever come back. This happened last October, just before Halloween. My parents and brother were traveling from Florida to Tennessee to help my grandmother move into our house, and they wouldn't be back for a few days. Naturally, I was excited to have the house to myself for a couple of days instead of spending hours in the car. On the second night of enjoying my alone time, my heart dropped when I heard a sound that seemed like a hand slapping against my bedroom window. My house is a one-story building in a rural area with few neighbors. After ruling out animals or natural causes, I decided to take a look myself. I moved the blinds, hoping to see someone running away, and that it was just a prank. I was almost annoyed to see no one there, but what happened next turned confusion into fear. I started to hear the doorknob being forcefully shaken and twisted, causing a banging noise at the door. This commotion made my dog bark loudly, which only increased my adrenaline in the situation. Thinking it might still be a prank by one of my few friends, I began recording a video on Snapchat to send to them, hoping to confirm if it was one of them. The first video shows me standing a few feet back from the door, trying to capture it being moved again. Eventually, I tried to record outside the glass doors. The video ends abruptly when I hear the screened-in patio back door being forced open behind me. Before I could turn around, my phone dropped to the floor. I sent the first video to my 3 friends. Whoever was behind my house still couldn't get inside, but knowing they weren't afraid to try was unnerving. After a few minutes, 2 of my friends sent snaps from their homes, claiming innocence and asking for updates. Still a little freaked out, I noticed my last friend, Logan, had opened the snap but hadn't responded, which was ironic since he was the most likely to pull such a prank. Feeling more confident it was Logan, I decided to start a new video with the flash on and check the backyard to see if anyone was in the open grass yard. After making sure the front door was locked, I went outside, hoping Logan would pop out to try and scare me. I checked behind some bushes and scrap wood on the side of my house but was met with only darkness and silence. Just 15 seconds into my walk outside, I felt extremely uncomfortable and decided to go back inside. I stopped recording and returned to my living room. Then Logan responded to my snap, and my heart skipped a beat when I saw a picture of him in bed with his girlfriend, saying, "What the __ bro, call the cops." I immediately called 911 and ensured all windows and doors were locked. The operator advised me to keep everything secured and to call back if I heard any more attempts to force entry. Days later, when I rewatched the saved videos, I noticed a creepy black figure lurking behind my tool shed while I was searching behind the scrap wood and bushes. It seemed to be watching me, as if deciding whether to attack. Seeing it for the first time, and even now, makes me want to throw up from fear. Nothing has happened since, but I still wonder how someone knew I was alone that day and what could have happened if I had made eye contact with the figure watching from the corner of the shed.